Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Wizard's World. I just want to show, the newest version of the point of sale system that I've been working on. So the first point of sale system, started that I made started at April of 2022. You can see it here. This was the very first version. This was designed to look like the original spreadsheet that the club was using with paper and pencil. And so I brought that same spreadsheet into Google Sheets and we immediately began using it. And it had some features where you could, add stuff with these plus and minus buttons and figure out how much you needed to pay at the end of the day. And this geschlossen button was the one of the first, things that I built. It's a close button, and then we moved into the second version. We switched from using the plus and minus buttons to using, just these check boxes and well, I can't do it right now, but and the Schließen button or the close button became more looking like a button. Then we went to the third button, the third version of the point of sale system, which looked more like a feature-rich application, but still had a few issues with it. But you could click these buttons and write your first and last name and create your personal buying screen where you could make all your purchases. And this was built this one after looking at how other touchscreen point of sale systems were working, and I built this whole thing, and it included a lot of features. When you come over here and you go to the Vorstand, you can see that a lot of dashboards were created that let you know how well you were doing, how well your sales were doing on a monthly basis, and how well your different things that you were selling. This is tips for the month. This is how many sales all time went through the system. And you can see that most active day in the club and so on and so forth. So it's a pretty feature rich system. And I started building a version 4 that was even a more feature rich system where it was very easy to add items. And I tried to improve the speed in many ways. But ultimately, I never put that into the production system. This one, as I said, it went into production and had almost 5,000 sales in it. So I was using Google Sheets as something to build kind of an app with Google Sheets, and so in version 4, I put a lot of time into that, and basically. As I got further and further along with it, I was still had an kind of an extended amount of time that I was still going to need to continue to put into that. I had more speed concerns with it, and that's when I decided to attempt to build an entirely new project that's just based on Node.js React, Mongo database, and GoLang, and that's what we're going to look at next. You have a front end and a back end, and it's going to launch 3 containers when I do this. I guess I could have detached that. And there's the 3 containers, so it started very quickly. There's the front end, the back end, and the database. Hey guys, good morning. I realized the video quality wasn't quite there for my recording that I did yesterday. I think maybe my Linux driver for my web streaming camera wasn't is suspiciously that's maybe the culprit for that. So I realized that annoyingly enough, I had to re-record this. But one of the main reasons to go to this Node.js React app is the speed. It's over time abstracting the database with Excel. Just put one more piece between you and the data, or between the user and the data rather. So the load time of it being a cloud application and things like that, whenever there's a lot of people backed up who need to buy something or pay, that got pretty annoying for the bartender and the customer. And even though I don't think it was that long, the users continually express their dislike with that situation. So moving to the Node.js React app gets you directly from the customer down to the back end, down into the database. and takes away that layer of abstraction and maybe some of that lag. And it can also be installed locally on a box in the clubhouse as well to remove the internet from the equation as well. But there's going to this, some of the minuses of, I guess, going to this is that the Google Sheets, it's an app that's built for you. All this stuff always works. Google has amazing uptime. We never had any outage. We had maybe one outage where the club's internet went down for a little bit, and so that was the one weakness, was their own internet. But Google was always available; it was always up, and that was one of the beauties of using the beautiful things about using Google Sheets for a point of sale application for over a year. And so this is basically the new dashboard. You can see it looks a lot nicer. It looks a lot more modern. It has a light mode. It has a dark mode. You have your dashboard tab and your tech and deeds tab. Tech and deeds means counter service, and you can start your counter service. You can move money into the safe. You can take money from the cash register to buy something they need, and you can end your counter service. So right now, it says there's no active person, and that there's actually 250 euros um, in the cash box right now. And then, so to buy something, you click their name, and it puts a little check mark, and you can press Kaufen. And as you look, you get categories that you get to set up, and you can just click that, and you can click plus or minus, more like a modern shopping cart situation that asks you two or three times before you go ahead and make the purchase. So that removed mostly the need for a remove button. It's kind of difficult to accidentally add something to your cart, but we have still a remove button that lets one item be removed with a code. And then when they want to pay, they can just click the pay button, which is bezahlen in German, or they can click the name and press the bezahlen button here. And that's basically all there is to the bartender dashboard. But there's also a manager dashboard. There's roles. There's a bartender role and a manager role. And this is the overview of the manager's dashboard. So yesterday there was 60 euros in revenue. There's 122 euros currently in the safe. And you can see the most recent, like 10 or 15 things that happened, which you can see I created the customer Al in the fully featured logging system. And then the business setup tab has the business setup wizard, the inventory setup wizard. You can reset the manager pin, or you can factory reset the entire system. So the business configuration wizard lets you set, if you want to accept payment from other sources other than cash, you can set payment to PayPal or credit card. And this system now supports electronic payment processing. And the inventory setup wizard lets you go through and very quickly set up your inventory. And you can see here the inventory of the different things that the clubhouse is currently selling. And you can add a new item. So the inventory system, this solved a big problem for the clubhouse, where you know it took quite a bit of coding to add a new item to the old system, but version 4 would have solved that. That was one of the goals of version 4, was to make it to where if I move back to the US, the club would still be able to add items and do basic necessity type things, so that the club would be in a good place, and wouldn't be relying on me and only me to be able to add new items or delete items or make minor changes to the Google Sheet. But version 4, as I worked on it, I realized there was still going to be speed issues, so it never went into production, and we went to version 5 instead. Although version 4 was really cool. It was probably the most intense Google Sheet, with, again, a lot of these features that you see here. As I went through this iteration after iteration, I got better and better, and I realized that some of those things were needed, to where there was a business setup wizard in version 4 and an inventory setup wizard, and many of the features that you see here were in version 4 of the Google Sheets version, and they came right into version 5 into the Node.js app, uh, uh, React app. And so here you see a bartending report. It helps the club understand who has performed their bartending, and you see cash discrepancy alarms. that's when there's less money or more money in the till. That causes an alarm. Some of these actually need tuning. This isn't perfect. Like it's in production, but some of these reports are one of my areas on my Jira board for me to make modifications and improvements. You can see the sales for the month and how much tips has been pushed into the till for the month. And this is the only month of data so far. So you can click by category. So drinks are the most sold thing, and next is alcoholic drinks, then snacks, and then guest fees. So you can kind of see what your best sellers are. You can turn that into a line chart, which yeah, there's your monthly line chart, and the graphics look cool, but there are some issues with it, and I'm going to be working on those to get everything functional. And then you can see the product sales for the different products that you're selling for the month. I think this could definitely you know needs a little bit of improvement, but it's also hard to tell how good it is with only 1 month of data so far. So um, something went wrong with this. This was working. I don't know what went wrong with that. That kind of tells you how long on average customers stay in the clubhouse. And then this will be, they're not taking credit card or electronic payment yet. So this will be a payment verification option where as they make electronic payments, somebody needs to come back through and verify that, they did in fact make all those payments. So it'll be just a board that shows the electronic payments, and somebody can verify, and it puts a checkbox next to it when someone has verified the payment, just to kind of make tracking that easy for the accountant. And then this is the log. You can see pretty much what's going on with the log. You can click sales, inventory, customers, register. You can, focus on certain things in the log, and, how much money was put into the safe is one thing that comes up on the audit at the end of the year. And then financial management. This is when you first start, you have to set the register amount. That's important. That say there's 240 euros in there, and you need to set that exactly to 240 euros. And then this shows you the safe balance, and you can do a coin drop. There's coins in the safe in case every business needs to have coins in the safe at all times. The previous version really just tracked the cash in the safe and zeroed it out when somebody made a removal, but this one accurately counts the cash and coins. And you can count the safe, or you can withdraw. A manager can withdraw money from the safe. And this register limit, after it hits 250, if someone tries to start their counter service or end their counter service, then um, it'll tell them, hey, you need to put some money in the safe first. That's too much cash. Put it in the safe, and that money will go into the safe before they can start. And then they'll be able to start their counter service after that. And then this just shows the role-based access control. You can add new users. You can add users as manager, or you can add users as bartender. And that's basically the new point of sale system 5. And that's how that works. And it has a lot of big improvements, a lot of speed improvements, and the role-based access control. And yeah, I intend to continue improving it, but it is into production now, and we'll see where it goes. Thanks, guys.